But this comes from, of course, Mud Boss is his name. 3 S's at the end of Mud Boss. Mud Boss says, Headboard Harris and Wad Swallow Walls. Anyone stupid enough to vote for those idiots is dumber than they are. Democrats are actually that stupid as to vote for a person whose only claim to fame is the ability to roll on a condom. So this is kind of what we were alluding to earlier. And these are the kind of people now that are part of the political discourse. They are now part of the conversation. And I think in order to answer this question, or to respond to this comment properly and to point out as to why people like this are now part of this conversation, we're going to have to go back to the Reagan administration. And during the Reagan administration, there was a gentleman named Newt Gingrich, who I'm sure you have heard of at this time. But Newt Gingrich was somebody that got a lot of mentoring from people and taught them certain tricks through politics. Now, politics has always been full of tricks, and politics has always been some smoke and mirrors here and there and some jostling and trying to do everything you can to get your party in power. Well, one of the tricks that he learned is that you don't necessarily need to tell the truth. If you just get people to believe you, then that's all that really matters. If you can get certain groups out there to believe that you care about them, i.e. the religious people, that you care about abortion, which Donald Trump clearly doesn't. If you can get military people to believe that only you care about them, if you can get certain groups out there to believe it doesn't even have to be true. You just got to say it. And people will tend to believe it, and now they're going to fight for you. So during the Reagan administration, there was something called the Fairness Doctrine. And the Fairness Doctrine would have that if you were on a news broadcast, back when there wasn't a million different news channels and broadcasts and podcasts and different things to choose from, you basically had 3 major channels, ABC, CBS, and NBC. And I believe this also applied to radio. But if you were a news organization and you had an opinion on one side, you had to counter it with an opinion from the other side. So that way the American people can listen to both sides and then make their own judgment. So that sounded pretty damn fair. If you go by the name of the damn law, was the Fairness Doctrine. But that was not good enough for the Reagan administration and Newt Gingrich. So like, no. We want to shape our own narrative. We don't want fairness. We want to go out there and we want to do our own thing, because we have now come up with this plan and this idea that if we continue to say things over and over again that are not true, then we could get people to believe us and get more and more voters that way. Because if the other side counters what we have to say, that makes it much harder. So they got rid of the Fairness Doctrine. Fast forward to now the injection of Fox News. Fox News comes along, and they are the quote unquote fair and balanced channel. They were the ones who were going to be the Fairness Doctrine channel, if you will. They were going to be the ones that told you the real news, because the Republican side hated what you hear the term mainstream media now, because they thought that there was a liberal bias. And in some respects, there might have been, because there were a lot of these people that came from higher educated places. And I'm not saying that to be disparaging. I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm just saying, if you look at the statistics, more educated people vote for Democrats than less educated people. That's just a fact. So anyway, Fox News comes along, and they started off gradually putting their wheels in motion of being a propaganda network for the right. But it got worse and worse over time. And then, during that time period, they started filling their news hours, 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock, the primetime slots, with nothing but opinionated news. The Bill O'Reillys, the Tucker Carlsons, the Sean Hannitys, Jesse Waters now in that time slot. And it has gotten progressively worse and worse and worse. And now we have people that are watching people like Jesse Waters make jokes about a potential president of the United States getting sexually assaulted. And these are now the people that we are drawing into the political discussion. These are the people who thought professional wrestling was real at one point. You know, these are the people who can easily be suckered and by innuendo. They could be suckered by people on TV who appear very smart and they appear very knowledgeable about the subjects that they're talking about. So they believe everything that comes out of their mouth. And now you expand it to people, real stupid people like Joe Rogan and Tim Pool and far right wing Charlie Kirks and Nick Fuentes. These guys who come out and say whatever they want to. I brought up a million times. We talk about the media and people saying on the right, you hear this on the right all the time. We're not allowed to say anything anymore. Bullshit. Listen to these podcasts. You could say whatever you want now and not get in trouble for it because there's no ramifications to it. There is no sponsors pulling out. These sponsors, if you are sponsors of these shows, you know what you're getting on these shows. So you could call it free speech, and right, sure, that's why we have free speech. And guess what? No Democrats coming in. There's no policy or anything like that is coming in to take that free speech away. So in fact, we can say way more now than we used to be able to say, and not because of the government. It's because people were held more accountable back then. If you said something outrageously crazy like our future president may be sexually assaulted by generals, you would have been, before the next commercial break, you would have been out of there. So now you can basically say whatever you want. And because of that, we now have people like Mud Boss who are sending me ridiculous things about Headboard Harris and Wad Swallower Walls.